Alright guys, so finally getting around to doing another video. You know, I feel like a broken record, but I just feel like I need to explain that I work a lot. I'm a father of four, a husband. Like I said, I work 6, 7 days a week. And so I just don't have a whole lot of time to do these videos, it doesn't seem like, because by the time I get home from work, there's always something around the house needs to be done, or just something needs to be tended to, or we need to run and get something. There's just, always something. But I wanted to sit down here, do kind of a Christmas special. This probably come out the day after Christmas, but this is Christmas Eve. No, excuse me, it's Christmas evening, I meant to say. So we're fixing to get ready to go to bed, and I just thought I'd sit down and show y'all my copper locks. But I also want to do a response to my buddy Big J's open tag of the best knives you received during the year and the worst fail you received during the year. So I'll get into that in a second. But I want to go ahead and show y'all some copper locks. I've added quite a few to the collection through some trading and stuff, and a couple of gifts from some very generous people. But I just want to show y'all my copper locks. I think I'm up to about 13 now, so that's pretty cool. But anyway, the first one I grabbed is this snake skin. This was a gift from Georgia Adventure. I went along to trade him, or actually send him an orange copper lock, for this one. But yeah, he got this one, and when we got to talking about it, and I was telling him that I was interested in these, this kind of a series. There's a snake skin, a lizard skin, which I also have, and then there's a pig skin, which I haven't gotten yet. But when he realized I was interested in this, he was generous enough. He just sent this thing to me, and this is really one of my nicest copper locks right here. I'm not going to display them all, because when you start to do that, the focus on the camera starts to get weird. Here's the lizard skin I mentioned. So you got the burnt features going on here. This one's obviously a nice bright green with the burnt edges, and the snake skin was that nice yellow. These were both clip point blades. Let's see, I'll just move on to a Warncliffe blade here. This is an indigo, burnt indigo, even though, like I've mentioned in all my other copperlock videos, this one's pretty much just blue, and I like that blue. It's a very nice color blue. But the burnt indigo typically has more of a darker burn on the ends, and the color would fade from a blue, almost a green, and a brown. This one here, like I said, it's just mostly blue, but I like it. And like I say, this one here has that real aggressive splinter picking warning. I've got several this way. I probably prefer the clip point over the Warncliffe, but they both have a place. This is a Collectors Club, a Life Member Case Collectors Club knife. I snagged this one on eBay for a pretty good deal. It's got some really nice crimson bone covers. I'll get that in there where you can see it. Just really cool dye job on this one here. That's another warning, as you can tell. Maybe I'll just get the warnings out of the way here. This is kind of a bucket list knife of mine. This was a purple haze. And this was one that once I saw it, I thought, man, I really want to add that one to the collection. And when the right deal came along, I was finally able to pick one up. Again, really nice fade on that color there. This is a purple haze. Very nice, rich, deep purple. All right. Here's my last warning. This was a recent acquisition. I did a trade with Big J. Traded him a couple of amber bone knives for this one here. The reason I wanted one of these so bad, I'll go ahead and open this one up. It's a warning. We actually just used this one to open some gifts, so it's still got some tape residue on it. But the reason I wanted this one so bad is because I have the matching clip point to it. And with all case knives, these handles aren't exactly a perfect match. This one here is actually considerably older. This is a fairly new knife, like a 2020. This one here is like a 2006, I believe, something like that. But they're both the same color, technically harvest orange. This was the very first case knife I picked up when I started my collecting. So when I realized they had come back around with the Wharncliffe version, I thought, man, I've got to get that pair. And this one Big J sent me is really, really nice. Really good snap on the blade, even though it's a lock back and not a typical slip joint. But yeah, like I said, this one here, this was the very first case knife I picked up. This is kind of what got me hooked on collecting and case knives in general. Besides the fact that I had always been around case knives and had a case knife, when I actually got to where I wanted to keep buying them, this was the one that kind of kicked that off for me. Let's see here. Here's one I got for Christmas last year. So this one here's been in the collection for exactly 1 year. This is just a nice blue Rogers jigged blue bone. This is one that I don't mind taking and using. Not that I mind taking any of them, but for some reason this one here just seems to get a little bit more pocket time. Here's one that I like pretty well. This is a saw cut. I guess you'd call it, might be, I'm not sure what color green they call that, if it's emerald green or Kentucky bluegrass, but anyway, you got a real nice green going on here. It's really dark, almost a blue, and then you see it fades into that nice bright, almost a grass green. This one here gets a little bit of pocket time also. Now then, another trade, and maybe I got that wrong. Maybe the Wharncliffe Harvest Orange I got from Big J was what I traded that back pocket for. I believe it was. And then this one here has just been a real gem in my collection. This is a chestnut bone. And this is a 98 model, but this is a chestnut bone large copper lock, which you don't see too terribly often. But this one here is really nice. I've taken this one and used it a little bit. It's got some scratches on the back side of the blade. I've tried to polish a lot of it out, and it's really not that bad anymore. It's almost hard to pick it up. You can kind of see the scratches there. I'm not concerned about that at all. This is a great knife. Absolutely love this one. All right. Now then, we want to talk about a Mr. Kent Smith. If y'all don't know Kent Smith, you need to get to know him. He's got an Instagram account, and he posts a lot of leather work, and he has a magnificent knife collection, but he has really hooked me up over this last year or so that I've gotten to know him. Kent lives fairly close to me, and I keep telling him we're going to get together for lunch one of these days, and I mean that. I just haven't had a good free weekend yet with the kids and sports and holidays and whatnot. But if y'all recognize this knife from some previous videos, you might know that this knife was traded to Michael Richter. Shout out to Richter Knives. But I traded Richter this Copperlock for the back pocket that I just mentioned. And he had those back pockets, and he got to talking about wanting to trade one for a lockback knife so his wife would have something to use in the kitchen. And I was intrigued by the back pocket, and I said, well, I've got, you know, some Copperlocks here if you're interested in any of them. That's not a stain or anything. That's just got some weird kind of humidity on it. And this was one of the ones I proposed to him, and he liked it, and so we traded this Copperlock for that olive green back pocket. Well, I, you know, got that back pocket, and I was really pleased with it and everything. But then when this one here came up from Big J as a trade possibility, the one that I had that he was kind of interested in that I wasn't exactly attached to was that back pocket, and so we made that trade. Well, a little while goes by, and Kent Smith shows me a picture of this and says, hey, check out this Copperlock I just got. And I said, oh man, that's the same that's the same color as the one that I traded Richter. not knowing for sure that it was the same knife. I just knew it was the same color and everything. And he says, "Oh yeah, that's it. That's who I got it from, was Richter." And I said, "Oh man, that used to be my knife, you know." And he hit me up right then and there. He said, "Well, if you want it back, I'll send it to you." And I said, "Oh well, I don't know." I said, "I'll have to come up with something to trade you." And so anyway, then he hit me up with this one. He said, "Well, I've also got an extra one of these if you like it." And this one kind of intrigued me because I don't have a smooth bone Copperlock, and this one's got some age to it. I believe this is a 97 model, which is the first year they came out. And this is like a I don't know what you call it, but it's some kind of Appaloosa bone, and it's just really, really nice. And I told Kent, I said, I said, "I'll tell you what, I'll trade you this one." And I traded him something. I can't even remember what it was now. I believe I sent him a Stag Mini Trapper for this one, okay? And I said, "Let me just trade you out for that smooth bone." I said, "And you can enjoy that autumn jig bone for a little while. And then one day down the road, you know, we might talk about trading back for it." And lo and behold, we made this trade. And a couple of days later, he sends me this one on, you know, right away and tells me, "Hey, you know, just go ahead and get, you know, let me send you this one back, and we'll square up on it down the road." And I was like, I was tickled, but at the same time, I was like, "Oh man, he shouldn't have done that." But he did. He sent this one along too, so I've got this one back in the collection now. And whenever I find something that I think is worthy of squaring up with him on that, I'm going to send it his way. But we can't talk about Kent without talking about this beauty right here. This is a 2023 black Sycamore large Copperlock. Kent bought this, and he was showing it to me, and I told him, I said, "Man, that's nice. I don't have a wood handled knife. I don't have a wood handled case knife at all." And he said, "Well, I'll sell you this one for whatever, you know, I paid for it." And I said, "Oh man, that's nice of you." I said, I guess I'll pass on this one with Christmas coming up and everything." And without getting, you know, too personal, he had sensed, I guess, in our messages somehow that I was kind of down and out a little bit, is what he told me. He said he kind of felt like I was down the dumps a little bit. And he just went ahead and sent me this, like 2 days after he bought this thing, brand new. He sent this to me and told me it was just a gift. He wanted me to have it. He said, "Don't send me something back." He said, "This is a gift. I want you to have it." He said, "I felt like you could use a little pick-me-up." And he was right. We had a death in the family, a very close death in the family, unexpectedly. And I had kind of been dealing with some of that stuff for a little bit. So that was definitely a welcome surprise. But yeah, I've been very lucky. You know, I've made some really cool trades, and I've had a few gifts that I probably didn't even deserve. But you know, sometimes you just life gives you little victories along the way, and so I will always try to square up with people when I need to. And if someone wants to give me a gift, sometimes the best thing to do is just accept their gift, and that way everybody feels good. So I want to thank Kent Smith for that. I'm trying to talk him into doing some YouTube stuff because his collection is so unreal. But anyway, that's my Copperlock collection. And so one thing I want to touch on really quick, and this is not to step on anyone's toes. This is just to maybe get some information out there that I feel like some people aren't aware of. And I don't mind saying that because I got caught up in this as well. People tend to think that the number 6 in the beginning of a case pattern number indicates that it's a bone handle. Well, this little Stockman here, this is one of those tiny Stockmans. You can clearly tell that is brown synthetic. That is not bone, it's brown synthetic. And this little knife is a 6333. So what I wanted to say, 6 on a case knife doesn't automatically mean bone. It indicates bone, whether it's jigged or smooth, and or jigged synthetic. So pretty much anything that's jigged besides buffalo horn and stag, which stag isn't normally jigged unless it's like a second cut, but I think even still a second cut is going to be a 5, and some of y'all can correct me if I'm wrong on that. But what the point I'm making is, just because you see a 6 does not mean it's bone. Now, a smooth bone knife is going to be a 6, and a jig bone knife is going to be a 6, but a jigged synthetic is also going to be a 6. So that was just something I've heard lots of people say, oh, it's got a 6, that means it's bone. Not necessarily. Okay, so now real quick, I want to do a response to Big J's open tag, which was, show us your best knife that you acquired during the year, and also show us the worst fail. Well, I started thinking about that, and I thought, man, I've got a bunch of, I really haven't gotten that many knives this year, I'll be honest with you. I've slacked off a lot because I've got so many now that it seems silly to just keep piling knives up in the collection. So I've gotten some nice pieces, but I've scaled back my buying a lot. So I got to thinking about this, and I thought, well, I don't really remember getting a knife that was a real disappointment. And then it dawned on me, I did find a couple of knives at the flea market that I bought that I thought were going to be really cool, and they turned out to be the biggest piles of junk I've ever seen in my life. What they were, not this knife obviously, what they were these little Rustlock knockoff things with a little tang back here. And they were absolute garbage. And the reason I bought them is because they were $5, and the one they had on display didn't look that bad. And then they had a bunch of them in boxes. And when I asked the guy about purchasing a couple, I looked at the little display one, and it didn't look too bad. I mean, I could tell it was about a $5 knife, which is what I gave for it. But I just thought, yeah, let me grab a couple of those. What the heck, I'll give them to my kids. And the ones I bought were absolute garbage. The blades were wavy. The